I am an incredibly intelligent adult, and I can tell when you're lying because you're not remotely convincing. I'm Thomas Wrinklesmooth, and after one of my YouTube videos in which I claimed the Bluetooth attracts bees was blocked for misinformation, I started this investigation into censorship and cancel culture. On today's episode, I'm looking at online conspiracy theories. Do they really exist? Or is it all just a lie made up by the government to scare us into compliance? I went to see a psychologist. Not for me, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm doing really well. I went to get their input on conspiracy theories and cancel culture. What is wrong with some people? Well, the answer is usually their brain. Their brain is full of faults. The woke who cancel people, what's wrong with their brains?
Well, I'd like to start by saying there's nothing wrong with their brains.
But there's certainly nothing right with them either.
The problem with cancelling someone is that when we shame people, we don't allow for learning. Say to a child, you're a liar, and they'll think, oh, right, well, that's just who I am then. But say to them, you're a good person who told a lie and that behaviour isn't acceptable, and they'll think, oh, you're right, I'm sorry, that was out of character for me, I won't do that again. We need space for redemption, otherwise nothing changes.
Right. If a child had lied to me, I don't think I'd be telling them they're a good person. I would say to the child, don't you ever think yourself capable of lying to me. I am an incredibly intelligent adult, and I can tell when you're lying because you're not remotely convincing. Where are your parents? Over there? Excuse me, are you responsible for this little liar? Yes, he did just lie to me. Just because he's wearing a cowboy hat doesn't make him a cowboy. He couldn't even saddle up a horse. What would a cowboy be doing in IKEA? Sorry, I had a bad experience in IKEA a couple of weeks back.
Well, another interesting thing about online discourse is what we call splitting theory. Again, going back to children, they tend to see people as either all bad or all good and don't see shades of grey. As we get older, we learn about nuance and realise that we're all a little bit of both. But when it comes to cancel culture, somehow people tend to regress back to this childish mindset where if someone does one thing wrong, they must be evil and should be shunned.
Right, so basically what you're saying is if you cancel someone, you are a child. A stupid child, and actually you should be shunned.
Not quite, because then you're doing the exact same
thing. Now, I would like to move on to conspiracists, because they also get censored. So why do people believe conspiracy theories when they're such obvious lies? I mean, if the royal family were lizards, why would they hunt foxes? If they were lizards, they would hunt flies. Prince Charles would be galloping around the countryside with a giant fly swatter in one hand and a whip made out of fly tape in the other. I've never seen that, and I think Harry and Meghan might have mentioned it to Oprah, don't you?
Right, well,
They're more likely to be owls. Owls eat foxes, apparently. Though I can't even begin to imagine how.
People tend to believe conspiracy theories at a time of stress, so the pandemic would have obviously caused a lot of this.
There are much healthier ways of dealing with stress. Have some wine.
I wouldn't recommend that.
No, if you're really stressed, you'll need more than wine, of course. Some rum or whiskey.
A lot of people who believe conspiracies tend to jump to conclusions quite quickly.
Yeah, I noticed that about them almost immediately.
They also tend to see patterns in things that are actually random. Like if a person tosses a coin 5 times and each time it lands on heads, they might say that was predetermined, whereas actually it was something random appearing otherwise.
5 times in a row. Come on, you're probably dealing with a magician there. Sure, it seems random, but there's someone behind the scenes pulling the strings.
They also tend to have an overblown sense of their own intelligence, a dangerous combination of ignorance and overconfidence. So they don't listen to informed people who actually...
Well, I think you've pretty much confirmed everything. I already knew about them. I have actually done my own research. To summarise then, you've got to be pretty dumb to fall for conspiracy theories. Pretty dumb indeed. But nevertheless, conspiracist pages are being silenced, so I'm about to look into why. What are they saying that could be so bad? Using my new Facebook account, I've joined a number of conspiracist groups and been accepted into a few, so let's take a look at the kind of mental rubbish these people are spouting. Okay, first thing I found, a post claiming that COVID was caused by 5G. Now, I have actually looked into that myself, and it is true, so they've got lucky there, but I'm sure there's a lot of nonsense here too. Chap called Graham Bannisters here, who's shared a post by Piers Corbyn, Jeremy Corbyn's even insaner, even scruffier brother, who's claiming that climate change is a hoax. Ha! Graham Bannisters, absolute conspiracist moron. Although, he has presented some evidence that, well, it seems he could be onto something. So I've had a scroll through, and actually there are some very open-minded people in this group, so I think this might be a good forum to share my own findings, that Bluetooth attracts bees. So, here we go. Sent. Now, obviously there are going to be some genuine conspiracists within the group, the likes of crackpot Graham Bannisters, so we can expect a negative reaction from idiots like that, but just received a few likes already, actually. 2 of the thumbs up, and 1 of the heart-shaped reaction, which I think means love. But obviously I only shared that to test the water, find out how these nutters actually think. No, it's nice to get a positive response, at last, yes, but as far as I'm concerned, they're a bunch of knuckleheads, and I'm certainly not going to get sucked into their little cesspit of insanity just because they've liked my Facebook post. One of them's actually sent me a friend request. I don't think so, pal. I joined this group entirely for research purposes, and I will be having no contact with any of these weirdos beyond that.
Hi, I'm out with my Facebook group comrades at a Freedom Rally in London. We're protesting against the climate change lies, the vaccines that everyone's already taken, the lockdowns that aren't happening anymore. We're sick of the BBC, the World Health Organization, and anyone else who gives us advice or information. Stop telling us how to live our lives well. Graham Bannisters over there, good friend of mine. Great guy. His wife's just left him because she says he's obsessed with conspiracy theories, but he doesn't mind because now that she's out the house he can put up his 5G repellent wallpaper. Keeps out 5G signals and women. That's what I said to him, and we had a good laugh about it. Well, he didn't. He's taken the whole thing quite badly, actually. Verging on suicidal. Now, I know, when I first joined this group, I had my doubts, sure, but after I shared that post about Bluetooth attracting bees, everyone in the group instantly believed me. And because they listened to me, I listened to them. It turns out David Icke's claims about the royal family being lizards aren't quite so crazy after all. He's not suggesting that they're geckos, he's saying they're reptilian humanoids, and that is a very different thing. And after getting on well with members of this group, I was soon receiving suggestions for other groups that I could join. Wonderful groups that I'd never have discovered if it weren't for the Facebook algorithms. The actual truth that I've been searching for years, that's been hidden by the mainstream media, is right here. In these social media groups, I have found an underground society of truth tellers. I have found my people, and perhaps, at last, my target audience. Piers Corbyn's just arrived. Great guy. Always had a lot of respect for him. He's actually got a very similar bag, so it's quite good to see that we're on the same wavelength for this. Also, quite a similar jacket, so glasses too. Yeah, I've always felt I'm quite similar to him, actually.
It's the beginning of the world
Well, there we have it. My cancel culture journey has come to an end. And what have we learned? Well, censorship is never a good thing. Sure, exposure to some misinformation may lead to deaths in the real world, but soon enough we'll all be living in a virtual world, so that won't matter actually.
And don't censor conspiracists. They're a great bunch of guys. A real family of open-minded chaps who never question anything I say. Is history erased by us taking off our rose-tinted spectacles? Yes, it is. Leave them on and keep looking at old statues.
And does cancel culture actually work anyway? Does it stop us hearing the views of the people being cancelled? Or does it scare their followers into silence, meaning debate won't happen and their beliefs won't be challenged? The answer is simple. It does silence people, yes, and it's restricting free speech. Whatever the context, whether you're censoring dangerous disinformation, or racism, or hateful tirades, or terrorists, it's all anti-free speech. You should be allowed to say whatever you want and never be told to shut up. Yes, get the flat earthers on the BBC and don't argue with them. It turns out there's something in it. Look at their diagrams. If the earth's a ball, why doesn't all the water drip off the bottom? And yes, as I said before, Bluetooth does attract bees. It's all there online, but you sheeple just won't look. Bunch of human beings. Ignore the government-approved fact-check statistics and do your own research like I did on Facebook and internet forums. That is where you will find the actual truth.